Hello, everyone. This is Dawn Takacs. I'm coming to you from my office downtown Pittsburgh. This podcast is the point where we talk everything wedding planning. And today, the subject is about the venues that are closing unexpectedly, or the makeup artist that's not showing up, or the photographer that took your footage and then has ghosted you or gone MIA. And how do you protect yourself? How do you protect your family and all of those important moments and everything that happened that day? And I have a good friend that has some of the answers to this for you. Her name is Kayla Busby. She is in the insurance field, and she's going to talk to us today about general insurance for your wedding, as well as how you can protect your budget. Kayla, say hello to Pittsburgh Brides community.
Hello, everybody. I am so happy to be here. Dawn, thank you so much. You are not only a good client, but now a good friend. So I'm very grateful to obviously that you asked me to be on this podcast, but to be, in your corner for whatever you need as well. So
I,
appreciate
pr-
that.
I appreciate that so much. The inside scoop is we used to work at the same place, so we've known each other for quite a while. And she also helps me with my insurance needs, general liability for my business. And so I want to talk a little bit about the different types of insurances that you may need for your wedding. And we're going to get to specifically what the brides need for their day. But if you're hosting your wedding reception in a venue that requests general liability or host liquor. Kayla, can you talk about those two different things a little bit and
Of
let them
course.
know what that looks like?
Of course. Yeah. So if they require general liability, they're basically looking for protection for either the business or the persons from financial loss. If they become legally liable for bodily injury, property damage, or advertising or injury. So when it comes to the host liquor liability, that is going to be sometimes added to the general liability automatically, depending on the carrier. So carriers vary. When we're going through this, there will be a difference between the carriers and what they offer. However, if it is separate, the host liquor liability is essentially meant to be for businesses or persons that don't typically sell liquor, but they need to serve a certain event. So say they have, let's say, a company party or a fundraiser or a wedding, for example. So all of those reasons would be, why you would have host liquor liability. And you would also offer this, say, if it's BYOB or if the liquor is free. Let's say not even a venue. Let's just say that the event is at a private residence. That's another reason to purchase host liquor liability. If the bride and groom are serving the liquor themselves, definitely have liquor liability.
Or their friends, right? Their
Yes,
cousins or somebody's their bartender. I know there's a
yes.
whole slew of legal mumbo jumbo on that, being
Yes.
ramp certified and everything. And I'm going to be interviewing some of our bar services, and they're going to talk about the differences there, that it's
Yes.
how important it is that you have ramp certified bartenders at your wedding. But general liability is the slip and fall scenario. Somebody gets hurt, somebody's driving on the way home, they get hurt, overserved, maybe they hurt somebody else. Am I correct in all of that?
So that crosses the line between general and host liquor liability. So
Okay.
if they're driving home and they were to get into an accident, and you serve them, it's going to fall under that host. But slip and falls, property damage, that is going to fall under the general liability portion for sure.
And the fees for these are nominal, right? It's not
Yeah.
crazy. Like, people, I
No.
think, sometimes are intimidated by that. We're talking a couple $100, maybe.
Yes, and that goes for not even the brides and grooms, but for vendors as well. You're looking at a couple $100 to have this insurance for vendors for an annual premium, and then for brides and grooms, a couple hundred, maybe for an event for bridal showers or for the wedding itself.
Yeah, and that's super important. And a lot of when people join our site, pittsburghbrides.com, the vendors, we ask them for a certificate of insurance to
Hmm.
verify that they are in fact insured. Because if you're working in the wedding industry and you don't have insurance, you should reach out to Kayla and talk to her, because it is so affordable to have it, but it's such a huge liability if
Hmm.
you do not. I mean, even a photographer can set their camera bag down on the floor and somebody trips over it and you have trouble. Yes? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And then become liable just like that.
And then I know one of my DJs had mentioned to me recently, if you're maybe a side gig worker and you're working a full-time job and you're only picking up so many weddings a year, that you can even do like per diem or per event
You
insurance. Is
can.
there something like that that they can look
Yes.
into?
Yeah. So there is, and they actually call it that. It's event insurance. So, and that's for vendors. So if it's, maybe, uh, 3 events per year and it doesn't make sense to have the annual, we can put you there. But I would compare pricing because I just did one the other day and it did make sense to put them with the annual because it was cheaper. So it really just, makes sense to do a cost comparison between all the vendor or the carriers that we have to make sure we're putting you in the right place.
And sure, and things will go wrong. I've been in the space long enough to know that when you're trusting human behavior, they can behave badly sometimes. They can cause things to go awry, especially when they get a little alcohol in them, right? So let's follow
Oh,
up
absolutely.
on the general liability, GL, or the host liquor. Like
Mhm.
the venues sometimes are going to say, okay, we need you to provide a certificate for us. How do couples go about doing that once they booked, or do you walk them through that?
So you mean after purchase?
Correct.
Okay. So yes, we provide the certificates of insurance. So after purchase, they would just, and it depends on the carrier again. So some of the carriers automatically provide the certificates, where others, they have a portal where you can log in and do your certificates yourself. But no matter what, I am always there to do them for you. So basically you would just call me, say, hey, this venue needs added, this vendor needs added, and I would go ahead and do so. So essentially, when you're adding them as an additional insured, you're giving them coverage under your policy. You're naming them under your policy.
Do you think, and I personally think that anybody that steps on property to do a wedding should be insured. Do you think that's the
Hmm.
case for everyone that's working a wedding? Let's talk makeup artist,
Hmm.
hairstylists, officiants, florist, DJs. I mean, some people have like more equipment and they're bringing in a bigger footprint, but even officiants that are walking
Hmm.
on property, do you believe that everyone should fall into that category of having some type of insurance?
That's a good question. And obviously, being in the insurance field, my answer is going to be yes. But I see the bad of not having the insurance. So I guess that's why my answer is yes. Yeah, the fact that it's so affordable is why you should too. Like I think a lot of the vendors don't think it's affordable, so that's why they don't look into it. So that might be a reason that kind of scares them away. But as far as the florists, the DJs, the photographers, they should definitely have that type of coverage. I would hope makeup artists as well, hairstylists, they should
Yeah.
definitely be carrying that
They're
because
touching the skin, right?
yes,
Caterers,
there's,
anything we're consuming on our body, definitely.
mhm.
Officiant, maybe.
I mean, they can get off because it's weird. Nowadays, we see so many officiants being the brother of, the
True.
groom or, so it kind of, I don't know, I guess, but they could, I don't know, they
Anything can
could,
happen.
anything could happen. So yes, I
We
mean,
don't we don't buy insurance because we anticipate a problem. We buy insurance for the unexpected problems, right?
absolutely. Yes. We insure everything else. We insure our bodies, we know our health, our cars. Why are we not insuring our biggest investment, our biggest day?
Sure. Even I know with Elite, we have inland marine,
Oh, yeah.
meaning it protects us from when we leave the shop to we get to the venue in case
Hmm.
anything happens in between that would prohibit us from being able to make it to the event. Like a big storm came through and there's a tree in the road and we can't get past it, we're stuck. Those type of scenarios. And I think a lot of small businesses maybe don't consider that it
Yes.
is the God only knows what's going to happen, that you may be giving somebody back their money from that wedding. You can't make it because of those big storms that came through. So I want to get into what I think is the most value, not to dismiss that any of them don't have the same
Of
value, but
course.
because of the economy right now and the
Hmm.
economy is strained, I'm seeing a lot of bad things happen in the industry. I'm seeing venues closing without notice and just suddenly closures. I'm seeing photographers coming in and doing footage and then going MIA. I heard a story last month of a photographer that was booked, paid in full, was recommended by the bride because the photographer did her sister's wedding, and then that person ended up going to jail for a felony for 2 years and now
My
can't do
goodness.
their wedding. Just the craziest stories are happening. Or
Uh-huh.
makeup artists, taking a huge deposit for the whole wedding party, that a $1,500 deposit for a $3,000 gig, and then just completely ghosting the brides, and they can't
Yeah.
get a hold of them through email or anything. They don't even know if they're showing up for their wedding. And so these are real things that are happening. It's so sad. It breaks my heart. But I think the only way to protect yourself is by insuring your day.
Hmm.
I honestly, at the end of the day, and I think it's so affordable. And I want you to talk about the postponement cancellation insurance. What is that? What does that mean?
Yes, yes. So with postponement and cancellation insurance, I cannot stress how important this is. It is essentially going to be the insurance that reimburses you for your lost deposits. So when you start booking your venues, your photographer, your DJs, all of those things, they're going to request deposits to secure the day. Now, you have no security on those deposits. So if that photographer runs off with your money or that venue shuts down, you're SOL,
Yeah.
to put it nicely.
Yeah.
So with this insurance, this would basically get you your money back.
And we say deposit because
Yes,
that's how the platform, the verbiage that they use when you're underwriting it, correct?
that's
But
correct.
technically it would cover, like, if the photographer was booked at 5,000 and you put down half
Hmm.
and then they were a no-show, it would cover the entirety of the 5,000 if they purchased that amount of insurance for that
So
vendor.
yes, it would be whatever you purchased. So obviously the more you purchase, the more expensive it gets. So if you are only putting, $20,000 down in deposits, then maybe only cover the $20,000 in deposits. But if you feel the need to cover more than that, then by all means.
When do you think that couples should start this process of
Yeah.
once they get the venue booked or when they get engaged, ensure their ring? Talk to
Mhm.
me a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I think it's going to differ per line, but for the postponement specifically, you're going to want to do this at the time of when you start booking and when they start asking for deposits. So as soon as before you give that first deposit, you would want to make sure that you start having these things in place. So when the venue says, "Hey, we're going to need $10,000 down," call somebody, whether it's me or somebody else that you trust in the insurance industry, and see what that pricing looks like. See how much it would cost. Now, a lot of the carriers have a 14-day before event cutoff. Some have 30 to 60 days. So just be mindful of that. I would definitely do it well before 60 days just to be on the safe side.
So they
Yeah.
can buy the insurance after they've already booked the venue, or should they buy it
Hmm.
before they book the venue with the 60-day disclosure that you just mentioned? It
Hmm.
seems like they can buy it if they've already booked their venue and their DJs and everything, and they know what they've spent. They can come to you and buy insurance for a fall wedding, maybe, as long as it's
Yeah.
within that 60-day window.
Yes, they can.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's incredible. That's such great advice because I
Yeah.
do know that couples get a little bit more nervous as they get closer
Closer
to
to, yes.
closer to they've paid for everything. They're hoping that
Hmm.
everything goes well. And in most cases, Pittsburgh is a great town. We have a lot of great vendors here. I don't want to dismiss that. This is one of the best cities in the world to work in this industry, but
Yeah.
it's the internet. And when you're booking online, you just never know. I did a podcast about vetting your vendors before you write them a check. It's podcast number 104. You should go watch that.
I
If
will.
you want to
Yeah.
get some insight on that, I think it's very helpful to our couples. And I want to circle back and talk a little bit more about the things that can go wrong.
Of
It could
course.
be a storm coming through that
Hmm.
day. It could be a loss in the family unexpectedly. My
Hmm.
grandfather passed the night before a wedding, and it made us take pause for my brother's wedding and say, what do we do? Talk to me a little bit about this postponement cancellation insurance, not
Hmm.
just covering like the venue closure or the photographer no show, but family emergencies of that sort.
Yes. Yeah. So, you're exactly right. If there's a medical emergency of one of the parties that are involved, so the bride, the groom, wedding party, the mother of the bride, the father of the bride, same mother or father of the groom, the let's say military deployment. So what if one of them gets called out on military deployment? That's another huge one. Can't
Yeah.
foresee that happening. Hurricanes, can't
Yeah.
predict Mother Nature either.
Right.
So if your wedding is, say, Mexico and there's a hurricane coming, none of you guys are getting there. So you may have to cancel or postpone your wedding. So those are definitely reasons why, oh my gosh, this is the biggest one. Lately, it's been the venue shutting down.
Yeah.
That has been huge. They have been shutting down, no notice, just taking the
Yeah.
deposits and running, not giving them back, not saying anything, just closing down. It's been
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, that's across the country. It's happening, and it's an
Hmm.
effect of the economy. A lot of these wedding businesses had to endure the pandemic, and they
Hmm.
took on loans with the SBA, and some of them took on loans that maybe they couldn't afford or couldn't afford to pay back. The fact that we're in the economy that we're in is just put a huge burden on them. I think a lot of these are so unexpected. There's some great venues that have closed that nobody saw coming, that
Hmm.
didn't expect, even here locally in Pittsburgh. And so you're booking and you have full confidence. And even just recently, we had a photographer that, was well recommended. But now I've had 8 brides complain to me that he has their footage from 2024
Oh,
and has
wow.
ghosted them. And it's July 2025. Like, they should have their footage by now. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that part of it, the vendor, not just the no-show
Hmm.
or but like photography issues. What if
Hmm.
their images don't save to the SD card or there's something fundamentally wrong? Does
Hmm.
it cover those type of scenarios?
Yeah. So you will have coverage under those. So you'll have basically the venue deposits, the catering deposits, the photography, the DJ, even the accommodations that you make for your wedding party, as far as, the hotel, the travel,
Sure.
that portion of it, the flowers, all of those things would be covered under that insurance.
Great, great to know. Because I know that this is just, this is part of the world, unfortunately, when you're planning a wedding,
Hmm.
and you need to really be savvy, smart, and think about these things, the what if. Now, if a photographer loses your footage, unfortunately, it doesn't replace those moments of that
It does
day.
not. Yeah,
But, maybe the financial compensation could help you, do some bridal portraits or something and reenact that. Sadly, it's can't even believe I have to say things like that, but that's the world that we're living in today. And I know
I
that
know.
these insurances are relatively in proportion to the amount of money that
Hmm.
the couples are spending for their wedding are
Yeah.
very affordable. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Of course. It will vary from carrier to carrier, but it will also vary mostly on the wedding amount. And what I mean by that is, $50,000 wedding, $100,000 wedding, and what your deposits are. So the higher the amount of the wedding, obviously, the more expensive the insurance will be. Same with the deposits. The more you put down, the more you're covering, the more expensive the insurance will be. So I try to tell people to have an expectation of 100 to 1,000, and that is going to be dependent all on how much your wedding ends up being. And for one day, if it was on the higher end, 1,000, I know that may seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, you're
It's not.
you're spending a lot if you're spending $1,000 on your insurance, because
Yeah.
you're up there. You're up
If
there
you
in
have a
the
hundred
price.
thousand dollar wedding, it's not that much.
No, no, that's pennies compared to what you're spending and what you could lose, actually.
And I know that they also you can bundle like the general liability,
Yes.
the host liquor, and the wedding postponement and cancellation, and it can be all in one package, correct?
Yes. A lot of the carriers automatically put the general liability and the host liquor liability together.
Great.
And then the carrier that I love to use, they will let you do everything together. So I can do the postponement, cancellation with the general liability and host liquor liability, along with jewelry too. I can put the jewelry on there as well.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. Gifts that
Yes.
they get from the wedding and the card box, right?
Yes,
Talk
that
to me a
too.
little bit about that.
Yeah, so we can add coverage to the card box, the gifts, to it's not funny, but it is professional therapy. So, like, you can add coverage for that. Aside from that, like even the rentals, so, the chair rentals, the party rentals, all of that stuff's very expensive.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you would have coverage for that as well. The rings, jewelry, that is so inexpensive. And there's two ways that you can do coverage for jewelry. You can either add it to your homeowners or you can do a standalone policy. Either way you do it is fine. So I have jewelry on my homeowners, and then I actually just upgraded my ring. So I did a standalone policy for my upgraded ring. And it could run anywhere from $80 to 160 annually. So it's pretty inexpensive as well.
And it's a smart choice because, again, you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what you don't know and what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Had a pair of diamonds taken from a hotel once in Florida when I was traveling on business. And the police came and they did the report and everything. And they're interviewing me and they're like, "Are you sure you didn't just go out and party last night and take them off and set them down on a cocktail table?" And I was like, "I can swim in them. They have the
Yeah.
screws on the back. I have to
Oh, yeah.
literally like unscrew them to take them off." And it was on my homeowners, so I was able to get it back.
Hmm.
But let's talk about their engagement ring. When they get engaged, they can get a
Yeah.
separate policy just for that as well,
They
correct?
can. Yes. Yeah. And if it actually covers quite a bit. So theft, if a stone falls out, international, if you lose it internationally, which, some of the coverages don't cover that. Obviously, if you lose it in your home, outside of your home, all of those things. So there is quite a bit of coverage when it comes to the jewelry. But yes, you can insure your engagement ring. And then once you get your wedding bands, you can also put them on to the policy.
Perfect. So in this process, we talked that they can book their insurances late as 60 days out.
Hmm.
But the reality is, when should they start considering it? Like most couples will put their budget together is one of the first steps in planning their wedding and
Yeah.
knowing what their wedding is going to look like financially. Do you think that would be a good time? And can they edit their policy
Hmm.
once they're in? Like if they decide they're going to spend 50,000 on their wedding, but then it becomes like 75,000, can they come in and say, "We want to make a modification"?
Yeah, absolutely. And the general liability and the host liquor liability, and the coverage for like the gifts and stuff, that can be added later. The biggest
Okay.
one that you want to have in place ahead of time is going to be the postponement and cancellation.
Okay.
That is essential. And to have it in place ahead of time is going to be key because, like I said, they do have cutoffs. Each carrier differs. So I can't tell
Sure.
you, it's this time. Rule of thumb, just say 60 days, because majority of them are going to be 60 days or less.
And you work with one that you love that does all of them, right? You
I
said that they're
do.
very highly recommended. They're on the Forbes list, you said.
Yes, yeah, they are. I love them. I love working with them. They're 5 stars. They're on Forbes list. Pricing is good. They are easy to work with. They pay claims good. So I am very happy with their service. And
If it's your wedding, this is the one you're going to choose,
oh
correct?
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully I
And
don't have to go through that again, but
and we're looking at somewhere between 100 to 1,000, depending on the cost of the wedding or the deposits that they're putting
Mhm.
down for the postponement cancellation, correct? Somewhere in that vicinity. And is it a
Correct.
monthly or is it just a one time they pay it all in full? How does that work?
Yes, so they can pay it in full, or if it is too expensive to pay in full, they can do like a payment plan almost.
So you could put half down and $50 a month for $100,000 wedding if you were doing that, correct?
Yeah, yeah, you could
Yeah,
do as you choose. Like the jewelry, I mean, you can pay the whole annual premium up front.
sure. Small amount.
And again, yeah, so you could separate the coverages and you could pay them as you wish. So like I said, the general liability and the host liquor liability, those can be purchased at the, very end because really those are for the day of, that's the event day. Where
Mhm.
the postponement day, you need that ahead of time because you're already making those deposits. And if the vendors back out before the event or something occurs before the event, you need to make sure that you have that policy in place.
That brings to mind another question for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes weddings can be 3-day events.
Yes.
meaning that we have a rehearsal dinner, we have the wedding and reception the next
Hmm.
day. Maybe we have a brunch with family the Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Like it can technically be an entire weekend. Are we insuring just the day or is it just the dollar amount?
So you can scale it 3 days if you choose. I don't know. The biggest day obviously is going to be the wedding day.
Correct.
If you are the night before, obviously is a little bit hectic as well. Whenever people are, I don't know about your family, but mine got straight to the bar and started drinking, right after the rehearsal. So that's what my family did. So, it just all depends, but I don't think you necessarily need it so much for the day before and the day after, but the big day, the wedding day, for sure.
If you're
Absolutely.
having a big shindig the night before or the day after, you might want to just talk to your agent about that.
Yes, yeah. If it's a private event too. So if you're having it at your home or an outside venue where they don't have insurance, then yes, absolutely talk to your insurance agent.
And several barns that our property
Oh,
is
that
owned
too.
by families.
Uh-huh.
You've got to check and make sure, like, do you need this? Because, they may have only a few weddings a year and they don't operate as a business. They just like Airbnb out their barn
Mm-hmm.
for receptions for brides and grooms. And then the last part of this that I wanted to ask is honeymoon. I know that when you book a honeymoon, especially if you're traveling abroad, that you can get traveler's insurance for your
Yes.
honeymoon, but does this switch or like does that encompass that as well or any part of that?
Yeah, so still you're going to want to do the travel insurance for your honeymoon. It is going to be the best coverage when it comes to any kind of travel
Okay.
internationally, or in states as well. I would always recommend the travel insurance over anything else.
It's not that much.
No, and it gives you coverage for more than what anything else would. So that was my point of kind of hinting you in that direction.
Sure. And do you recommend that they get that through you when they're booking their other insurances, or do you recommend that they go through
I
whoever
can,
their travel agency or both, either or?
you know what? I mean, either or. The travel agencies do sometimes offer it discounted. So obviously, if you can get it
Okay.
discounted, why not? But if you cannot get it through them, then I would be happy to help for
A
sure.
lot of travel agencies are only doing abroad travel. So
Mm-hmm.
you may, if you're going to Disney for your honeymoon or something like that, you definitely may want to talk to your agent about that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a photographer, makeup artist, and or officiant or florist or anyone in the wedding space, and
Mm-hmm.
you have questions about general liability insurance, I'm going to have Kayla's information in the video link where you can shoot her an email and get a quote
Yeah.
for your business. I know that she's done miracles for me personally. The word casino seems to make insurance rates go up, and she has saved me from that. So I highly recommend her if you have a business and you're in this space and you need insurance. And couples, we did a PDF for you that I'm going to also download the link where you can get it on our website, pittsburghbrides.com. All of Kayla's information is there and everything that we talked about today, what the different insurances are. And she kind of breaks down what's best for you. And if you need to purchase your license in Pennsylvania, correct? Are you licensed elsewhere or just in
Oh
Pennsylvania?
yeah. Oh no, I'm in 10 different states. But I mean obviously the biggest ones around us are going to be the PA, West Virginia, Ohio, Maryland, Virginia. Mm, those would probably be the biggest ones I guess you would probably deal with on your page.
So if they're getting married in any of the surrounding states, they can reach out to you for their
Absolutely.
wedding insurance as well. Kayla,
Hmm.
I have learned so much on this
That's great.
podcast with you. I thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time today. I think with the world the way that it is, sadly, you
Hmm.
know, so many bad things are happening that are unexpected. I think it's really important to visit this conversation. I mean, when I read all the information that you sent me and I was seeing insurance basically overall average around 500 for a
Hmm.
wedding covering everything, I was like, it's a no-brainer. Why
Correct.
wouldn't you? If you're having a $30,000, $50,000 wedding, like that's so small in proportion to what could be so devastating to you financially, especially for the
Yeah.
couples that are making it on their own and they're not really seeing, any financial support from their families. It's a smart
Hmm.
investment. So I thank you, girl. It's so good to see you. It's so
You
long.
too. You too. And thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. And good luck to all the brides and grooms and the vendors. And again, thank you again. You're awesome.
My pleasure. So happy to have you. And you can find Kayla. I'm going to put her link below if you want to reach out to her about your wedding insurance. This is Dawn. I'm signing off from downtown Pittsburgh. This podcast is The Point, where we talk about all things wedding in the Pittsburgh area and beyond. Thanks, everyone. Bye.